be adjusted by just 2 degrees. He then orders the test to be run again. The computer calculates that the small adjustment to the flap on the model will add more than 10 kilos of extra downforce to the front end of the real car. The wind tunnel data will make the front end of the car firmer and easier to steer into corners at high speed, which will give the driver greater confidence. But it was in an early, far more primitive tunnel that engineers made the most significant aerodynamic discovery in the history of the racing car. A discovery that changed the face of Formula One forever. In 1970, Colin Chapman of Lotus launched the wedge-shaped Lotus 72. Aerodynamically ahead of anything else around, it won 20 Grand Prix and 3 World Constructors' Championships. Then, in 1976, using a wind tunnel, Lotus designer Peter Wright discovered underbody aerodynamics, a uniquely powerful way to generate downforce. He called the discovery ground effect.
Ground effect is a simple theory. It works on the Venturi principle, which is that air flowing through a restriction has to speed up, and when it speeds up, the pressure drops.
In 1978, Lotus won the World Championship with its ground effect car. The secret of its success was sculpted wings hidden beneath the car.
A vital part was these sliding skirts, which actually ran along in contact with the track and moved up and down along with the bumps in the track, and effectively divided the high pressure area outside of the car from the low pressure area underneath. And that created a terrific amount of downforce.
With the competition struggling to work out the dark secret of the 79's success, Lotus went on to win race after race. But Formula One's governing body was growing fearful that ground effect cars were simply too fast and too dangerous.
We did end up in a situation where the cars were going particularly quickly around the corner, and if the ground effect was lost for any reason, it went over a bump or one of the skirts didn't work properly, it did result in a fairly hairy moment for the drivers.
The cornering effect that could have been generated by ground effect was enormous. And it's no joke to say that drivers would have been needing G-suits.
In 1982, ground effect cars were banned from Formula One. But a new generation of aerodynamicists has found other ways to generate downforce.
When ground effect cars were banned, there was a sudden loss of downforce. At the time, I suppose most engineers didn't think we would ever get it back, but we've got it back, and we've increased the levels of downforce to levels unimaginable back in those days.
They've done it by paying attention to every fine detail in wind tunnel testing.
There's various aspects of this car. Each of them may only add up to 2 or 3 kilos of downforce, but when you've got 100 or 200 fine areas of detail added up, that's hundreds of kilos of downforce.
Maximum downforce requires high pressure above the car or component and low pressure beneath. Red indicates high air pressure and blue low pressure, in this simulation by Advantage CFD.
CFD stands for Computational Fluid Dynamics, and it's basically simulating a car and simulating air flowing over that car on a simulated test track or even in a simulated wind tunnel.
These equations to show fluid flow were written in Victorian times. They were too long and complicated to use until computers came along.
The computer solves millions of equations to give us some kind of visualization results. We can look at the configuration of the car, so we can see if the rear wing and the front wing are set up correctly to give the maximum downforce.
To complement wind tunnel research, every Formula One team uses CFD simulation.
Where they're heading is to be able to have 2 cars in that simulation and possibly one overtaking the other.
This will help drivers anticipate when to come out of the slipstream to overtake. Advances in aerodynamic design have made cars faster. But changes to the shape of the car have also obliged designers and engineers to look for new construction materials. By 1980, cars had become far more aerodynamically efficient. But to get good airflow low down, they'd also become narrower and less strong.
So I started thinking, how do I get this strength back? I want it small, I want it narrow down there, but I don't want to give up strength. So then I started thinking, okay, maybe we have to change materials.
Up to now, cars had been made of steel and aluminium,